Hey there, Knicks fans. How you doing? It's your boy, Jon of the Macri, with you for another episode of the Knicks Film School Podcast. Coming at you a day late and a dollar short because the Knicks played on Sunday. And would have been nice if we had a little more to celebrate today. But, you know, top cookie crumble sometimes. Jeremy Cohen, hello. I feel like this is a gift. This is like the third straight week I get to talk to you like on our usual scheduled weekly time, even though it's not our usual weekly scheduled time. But you got where I was going there.
I did. I would agree. Yes, it is nice to be here and on time. We'll see if next week works out that way. But the week after may not. But we'll figure it out. You know, it's just life and Knicks basketball. But yeah, this would have been a better week had you won the week of predictions, because then we would have been both pretty happy. Everyone would have been a lot happier. But this was a tough week against some difficult opponents, for sure. And, look, do we want to just start off with it, with the week ahead, or the week we just recapped?
Yeah, I mean, I think I want to pick up right where you just kind of maybe inadvertently left off about the opponents. So the Knicks this week, I'm actually going to pull up the most updated advanced numbers. So the Knicks this week played the teams that are, well, we should say they played a team that is currently tied for first place in the Western Conference, the Minnesota Timberwolves. They played the team that is, or excuse me, not tied for first place in the Western Conference. They played the team that has sole possession of first place in the Western Conference. They played the team that is now, after that win, tied for the second most wins in the Western Conference. And then they played the Miami Heat, who are 10-7 after sitting all of their guys versus the Brooklyn Nets. Gotta love those Heat. Hashtag Heat culture, baby. So yeah, I mean, no Durant, obviously, last night. Even so, this is a team, the Suns, that clearly has something good going, and the Knicks learned that the hard way because they did not take them as seriously as they should have. But yeah, I would say this was a week. This was something of a measuring stick week. It would have been more so with Durant. Even without Durant, I would say it was like three good to very good teams. And they went 1-2. One game they got kind of blitzed, and then the other two came down to the last possession. So I don't know. What do we make of that? What do you make of that, Jeremy?
I think we make of it that they played three teams that are strong competition. The Knicks are also strong competition as well, but for two of them just couldn't get the job done. One of them almost didn't, but then you could say one of them that they didn't get the job done, that they almost did. Obviously, the Suns didn't have Kevin Durant, to your point, but they still had Devin Booker. It also felt like, you know, every year it seems like, or at least last couple of years, there's always been that one random ass role player who just goes off on the Knicks, and it's like, oh, that's clearly the Zeke Naji game, for example, or whatever it might be, or the I was going to say not Malik, the Taurean Prince game,
Taurean Prince game. That's it,
right? Yeah. It just felt like with the Suns that was everyone's game in one, because we haven't really had that, so it just regressed to that point where it's like, yeah, sure, Metu's gonna like start hitting shots now. It's fine, like great, love it, cool, wonderful. That's kind of the vibe.
Metu was worse than Eric Gordon. I mean, Eric Gordon, like, I know he's never made an all-star team, but like Eric Gordon's a baller. Like the dude once upon a time got signed to a $20 million a year contract back when there was a lot of money. But like the Metu threes, it was like, come on, man, really? The Jordan Goodwin offensive rebounds, I think there was at least.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That's just like, it's weird because we're sitting here. Like Andrew always starts off a little rundown. His first question on the rundown is, how satisfied are we with 9-7 through 16 games? And like, I'm looking back at this week, they played a quarter and a half of good basketball. I don't know that I would say that any of the quarters against the Timberwolves I would define for myself as like good Knicks basketball. They were just very off in that game. Against the Heat, they played one of the greatest quarters, I don't know, in modern franchise history, and 3/4 or 2 3/4 quarters, that made sense, of mostly poo-poo. And then in the Suns game, they've had like a really good 5, 6, 7 minute stretch at the end of the third And then they were okay in the fourth, but like, they scored 21 points. They missed a lot of, good shots, and they had some couple of breakdowns. So like, I don't know. I put out a question to my Substack readership today, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how you feeling about this team right now? And I was like trying to glance at it throughout the day. A lot of people were at like 7, 8. If I thought I saw a couple of 9s. I don't think I saw anyone lower than a 6, and I thought there was only like 1 6. Like most people are right around that like 7, 7.5, 8 range. I was at a 6.5. I don't know if I don't know. Am I being too kind? Am I just like, yeah, they're good. We know they're good. They just got to figure stuff out. And it's kind of like you're assuming what's going to come because we haven't seen anything too bad yet. That's kind of where I'm at, I think. More if I could summarize it in like one flubbery sentence.
I'd probably say 7, 7.5. But the reason being, it in terms of 9 and 7, I mean, I don't want to say that was expected, right? But it's also
I would have signed for it,
right? Like that's and is that mostly just past Knicks seasons coming to the forefront of our brains? Like, hey, look how bad it was. And I don't think it is. I really feel like this is a team that they're players who are struggling. You probably feel this way too. When I look at the individual advanced metrics of a lot of these players, I'm like, how the hell is this team as high up in the defensive rating or even the offensive rating?
I was actually going to go in the other direction, but yeah,
it's just like they're willing away to win together, but the individual performances outside of maybe like Jalen Brunson on the offensive end, Mitchell Robinson on the defensive end, RJ Barrett, up until maybe the migraine time offensive, but even still, you can pinpoint players who are exceeding in one area, and that's proof for why they're doing well. But then there's just kind of a mess in all sorts of places, and yet as a whole, they're still able to win ugly games. This week, they weren't really able to do that, which is unfortunate. But in terms of just my worry or my thoughts, like this is a really good team that, as currently constructed, probably has a ceiling not too far from where they left off last year, maybe a little bit further, but like a lot of teams can also say that they have that. So it's hard for me to feel too upset about this yet. It's going to really take like an earth-shattering move before I start to be like, all right, guys, let's get our act together. What's going on here? And that I just don't see that on the horizon.
Yeah, I think the worry, if there is one, I'm not saying there needs to be, is like when the leagues, because like right now we have the Celtics who are, no one's in a tier of their own, but like the Celtics have kind of like excelled in their own way. And if you want to throw the Timberwolves into that boat too, the Nuggets are always going to be considered that because of what they did last year. And like, we're starting to see teams emerge from that, like the group of like whatever you want to say, 18, 20, 22 teams starting to separate themselves on both ends, like come out towards the top end as like Orlando keeps winning games and as the Suns keep winning games. And then, maybe more towards the bottom end too. And we don't have to talk about those teams, but like there are teams that have consistently struggled so far this season that had expectations. And I guess the worry is that as the separation starts to occur, are the Knicks going to continue to find themselves in the proverbial juicy middle, which for this year I think is like you're going to be a dogfight to like get that 6th seed or that 5th seed maybe until the very end. I think that if there's a worry, I think that's the worry. To your point though about like looking at individual players, there's 3 guys on this team according to Cleaning the Glass who are above the median for their positions in terms of efficiency. Jalen Brunson, Emmanuel Quickley, and Isaiah Hartenstein. That's it. Everybody else is at and it's like some of them are well below, but like everybody else is in the 40s, 30s, 20s, and like single digits for like, again, grading against other players at their position in terms of their overall efficiency. And then you look up in their, whatever they are in offenses, I think it's 11th. So it's like, okay, clearly it could be worse, but it could also be better. 2 quick things, and then and what I just said is going to relate to our little game we're going to play today. So we have 2 fill in the blanks here, courtesy of Andrew Claudio. The comeback on Friday night was the best Knicks comeback win since, and then we have a blank. Do you have an answer for this?
I mean, the easy answer is that Celtics game with the RJ winner. But I feel like there's got to. At one point, they were down by 25.
Oh shit, they were.
That's a lot to come back from.
That is a lot to come back.
Here's what I'll say. I mean, look, that was a division rival. The Celtics were toiling away. It actually kind of helped them. That was sort of the turning point for a new season for them to turn the page. So they won that in the end. But this is, I mean, if we're talking strictly regular season game, there have to have been games that happened, like the Nuggets game with honestly, either one last season, pretty exciting. The original Jazz game. But there's something about this being an in-season tournament that staved off elimination against the team that eliminated you in the playoffs last year, not even 6 months ago. Like that, or 6 months ago. That to me is pretty sweet. And so to find something with the stakes that are quite that high in the regular season, it's tough. It's tough to find something that compares to it.
I'll just say I can't remember a better one. Which is to say, like, it's probably at some point during the 90s or like the 99 or the 99 2000 season. And
really?
Yeah. And my reasoning for that is that Celtics win that you're talking about. For me, I was already not out on that season, but I was like very much. But like, yeah, there was already so much drama in that season and so much bad juju surrounded. I mean that literally and figuratively because that was also the thumbs down game, right? Yeah. So that like, yeah, it was a crazy win and like it was awesome to experience in the moment. But then you wake up the next day and you're like, okay, so this team turned. No, they didn't turn anything around. And sure enough, they like that was right before they lost like a million games, or what is it, 17 out of 20. So. And like what other one, like it's not like there's been a big playoff comeback in like either 2011 or 12 or 13. I don't, if there was a big one, I don't remember it. So maybe that's just a bad job by me that I don't remember a big one. And it's like, I mean, they were down by freaking, how many points were they down by? 23 in this game? 21. Yeah. So I don't know. And given the stakes against the opponent who it was, all the things you just said, I can't remember a bigger one in recent memory. I'm going to have a very different answer for our next question. The other question here is the Devin Booker dagger was the most heartbreaking shot versus the Knicks since fill in the blank. I don't even think it was that heartbreaking because when that ball went up, I fully expected it to go in, A. And B, I never got the feeling like we were winning that game. So like, I guess the easy answer for me is like, I guess Luka tying it as regulation was winding down in Dallas last season, but that was like way more heartbreaking than this. I can't even really describe this as heartbreaking.
Yeah. I just kind of just like, yep.
That's exactly it.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And when your hand is down that far, your hands are down that far against Devin Booker, then he'll probably make you pay. And he did. And it felt like the reverse, though, of Julius hitting that shot against Miami last season in Miami. It's almost close enough in terms of the timing, too, where with time left on the clock. But yeah, I didn't feel like that was really a game that was being won. I thought, is this a game that the Suns are going to give away? And I would have gladly taken it. But they found the courage to just keep working on it and keep that. But I would agree. I mean, the Luka game was far more emotionally devastating. That was like, I'm not going to go on Twitter for a little bit because I just don't really want to right now. And this was more of like, all right, let's just go into Sunday night before the Sunday scary set in and we all have to go back to work on Monday.
There 20 years from now, I was about to say, as I'm drooling in my porridge, hopefully I'm not drooling in my porridge when I'm 60 years old, but you never know at the rate I'm going. There will be 4 games. There will be 4 games that I will remember from last season. The Quickly's 38 in the Boston Garden, Jalen Brunson's 48 point masterpiece against the Cavs, and both Dallas games. Like I know those 4 games will be etched in my brain forever. So yeah, the Luka one was, but it was to the point where honestly, like if that Brunson shot went in at the buzzer, I didn't even think we were going to win in overtime. I hated how we played all game. But such is life. Okay. Speaking of games, we're going to play one right now. A game that I invented after much deep thought and contemplation. We're recording in an hour. We got to think of something to do. Knicks Stock Exchange. So here's how this is going to go. It's like we're trying to figure out a way to kind of structure our conversations. And I thought this would be good because this is going to be something that we can go back to about once a month, give or take. But like, we're going to revisit this maybe 3-4 more times throughout the regular season. And we're going to see how our portfolios are doing. If we had more assets and resources at our disposal, we would have done this with a little bit more detail and actually attributed like stock prices to each of the players so that like we can, get them at a certain number and then, see if that value increases or decreases. And then we'll compare our portfolios at the end. But we're going to do a little bit more basic than that. And we're just basically going to do a draft in which one of us will go first, and then we'll swap back and forth until we have a roster of 5 assets that will be our Knicks stocks that we will then monitor from here on out. And there may be some trades and other shenanigans as we continue this process throughout the year. But the long and the short of it is, me and Jeremy are going to pick players based on how we're feeling about not only where they're at now, but more importantly, where we think that they will be for the rest of the season. Did I get everything? I think I got everything, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah. And it's not just players. If someone wants to draft a coach, if someone wants to draft the front office, you can do that. I don't know that I would necessarily draft either of those spots. We do have to have 5 each though, so we're going past the 9-man rotation. So someone else, whether it's Deuce McBride or Tom Thibodeau or Darren Erman, we draft Mike Breen. Would that be a good pick?
That's hard. I mean, his stock is always pretty high up.
His stock is always high, so he should be like the first pick. Right. Yeah, but that would be cheating.
Would be. And Clyde. I mean, Clyde would be the first pick.
Although Clyde's stock has never gone down.
Exactly. The fit
Clyde. What's a stock like? I'm trying to think. What's a stock that's never really gone down? That's always been great.
I mean, there's no one ever lost any money with IBM is the philosophy there.
Let's go.
Or no one ever got fired. Excuse me. No one ever got fired with IBM stock. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't call Clyde IBM necessarily. He's got more style than what an IBM stock would offer.
Is he a Mac then? Like, what's the most stylish computer? I don't even know.
I mean, yeah, Apple probably is up there, but Apple's stock has also like gone way up over the years. So
yeah, whatever. Clyde's a winner. You're not going wrong with Clyde, but we're not drafting Clyde today. Okay. I don't know who's getting the first pick. Can we get Andrew up here? Here we go.
Hey guys.
Hi, Andrew.
Hello.
Hi. I have an objection, by the way.
Oh boy.
You said you're drooling your porridge in years from now, right? Like you're gonna remember 4 games from last year. The Randall buzzer beater's not one of them.
Oh yeah, I guess I'll remember that.
Was that Freudian? It was just like the vibes being what they are. Of course, we've just like forgotten that happened. I'm
sitting here right now. I remember the Randall buzzer beater. I remember pretty much all the Cavs games, like the one that started the winning streak. I remember the Miami comeback where Brunson was off the floor and he had the 4 wings and like Hartenstein. Like I remember other games. Obviously, I could probably remember all games if I really thought about it. But I'm just saying, forecasting 20 years from now. That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay. I just wanted it noted for the record. That would be my one game from and when I'm in my porridge years.
Really?
Man, what the Miami Heat do to me is different. Okay. Beating them that way. That's why Friday is the most thrilling win. Like I'm with you, like since the 90s. Like
okay.
Second best would be Allen Houston's running jumper.
Hold
on. What are we doing?
I didn't say most thrilling win. It was the
comeback
best
win.
Knicks
I get it.
Big comeback. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That Randall shot, while it's obviously doesn't have the same stakes, and obviously the person who took it and hit it have a different reputation than some other Knicks legends. You know.
No, but it's like that's the other thing is like history has such an impact on all this stuff. Like if Emmanuel quickly goes on to make 5 All-Star teams with the Knicks and goes into the Hall of Fame, like that Boston game is going to have even more importance. We don't need to get into that right now.
Not bad for someone you were trying to trade all summer. Okay, so we're going to do a game of high card draw here on the Knicks Film School Stock Exchange to determine who gets the first pick. I didn't know that they draft when it comes to stocks. Must have missed that scene in Trading Places. So, John, age before. I have no idea. Age before beauty. Your card is a king. Oh, Jeremy, I didn't do it on purpose. You heard me shuffle. I promise.
I did.
Okay, I'll do one more shuffle and see if I can get you lucky. Okay, Jeremy's card is a. Oh, I didn't do that on purpose.
Wow.
Seriously?
Ace of Hearts.
That's fine. You know what? Totally fine. I'm totally okay having either the first or second pick in the draft.
Okay, Jeremy, you're up.
All right. I was unexpected. Speaking of unexpected in terms of stock for some players that we can buy, I really thought that this was not going to be a down start to the year for one Quentin Grimes. Grimes is the player I'm going to go with for what's the look on your face?
So you just took a very different approach to this. So your first pick is Grimes because of his stock is so low right now.
Correct.
Oh, wow. Okay. I thought
that's where we're going.
No, that's great.
Because there's obviously another player that could have been considered with this first pick, but there's a reason I didn't want to necessarily go in that direction.
Okay.
But in terms of, yes, my view was, hey, where are these players stock and are you going to buy them? Because there's some players who also could be performing poorly and then they just don't play well. Like
I love it.
Imagine like buying Killian Hayes' stock, and it's like later on, like it's so low, it's got to get better. It's got to get better, and it just keeps falling to the point where it's not even worth selling because you might as well just hold on to it for a while. So this is the direction that I'm going, but I'm curious what your direction will be because we could still play two different games for the same game.
No, this is fantastic. I'm really happy because it's going to be a lot. This makes it a lot more interesting. I'm gotta stick with my original plan. I'm gonna take Jalen Brunson as my first stock because right now I think Jalen Brunson is at a point where there is still anything but consensus around the league that he is like definitely going to make definitely all NBA. Like is not guaranteed at all. And even All-Star, I wonder if most people would have him on their All-Star ballots. Now, I think we're right at the point where that may be starting to change. I saw JJ Redick had something on his podcast today with Tim Legler. There was a clip that was making the rounds on Old Man in the Three saying like, dude, I played with you. I didn't see this coming, and said he's a candidate for All NBA and for All-Star, right? So I think what's going to happen from here on in is going to be similar to what happened with Julius during the We Here season. If you look at Jalen Brunson's pull-up shooting, he's essentially the best pull-up shooter in the league this year, combining both the volume and the accuracy. I know we've talked about that, but that's the thing where I don't know that everybody around the league has kind of fully come around. Even this morning on my beloved Hoop Collective podcast, Tim Bontemps was like, yeah, Jalen Brunson's really good. He's not at the level of Jimmy Butler or I forget who was the other guy or Devin Booker. I don't know. I think we're getting to a place where maybe by the end of this year, Jalen Brunson might be considered on the level of those sorts of guys. So happily buying Jalen Brunson's stock with my first pick here.
Thing with Brunson, does it also bother you why it always has to be like, yeah, there's this player who's doing great and he's fantastic, but he's not this caliber of player. He's not that. Like, can't we just enjoy this player? Why does it have to be a measuring contest here? It can't just be look at the fact that Jalen Brunson coming off of a week where he won Eastern Conference Player of the Week, and who knows if he'll be a candidate to win it again, but played phenomenally. And just I had seen that as well, and you saying it kind of set it off. But to backtrack for a moment, I still see someone like, if I'm going to go back to the game I'm playing for Quentin Grimes, as someone who looks lost out there, right? Like this is a guy who you were hoping for something to do with the ball on offense, right? Yeah. Just a little bit, just enough. And it's purely, hey, stand in the corner, take some threes when the ball comes to you and shoot. And for that buzzer beater against Miami, that was fantastic. I believe that was also the only shot that he hit that week, or am I off?
Oh, Quentin Grimes?
Yeah.
I would have to, I'll go look it up right now. But I mean, needless to say, he's had a
he's towards the top of the league in terms of matchup difficulty. But there's a difference between matching up against the best players and matching up well against the best players. And his defense has not been quite as good at the point of attack. But this is someone
he had another field goal. He hit a field goal yesterday. Yeah.
Okay, that's right.
A 3.
So this is just someone who feels lost, and we know from last season that there is another gear to him. He looks just like a shell compared to what he can do. So that's where I'm buying the stock of someone who the shot still looks clean. It's not going to change. It's just really a matter of asserting himself and being more physical, doing something with the ball, or if not, just, no small parts, only small actors. Just be the best version of your role that you can be. And he's just off. It's not there.
We should note, by the way, that prior to going out for 2 games with an injury and then now coming back for his last 3, Quentin Grimes was, hold on, I'm pulling up the numbers right here. He was averaging 43% from the field and 40% from 3 on nearly 6 3-point attempts a game. But the overall field goals percentage is very deceiving because he take like 80+% of his shots every game come from deep. So like the 40% from 3 number is the number that counts and the number that matters. And that was really great through, again, the first 11 games of the season. Then he missed 2 games with an injury. Now he's come back and he's gone 2 for 15 since coming back. So he's obviously in a slump right now. I wonder if we look back on where we're at right now in a couple months and be like, oh, wow, remember when we were worried about Quentin Grimes? You have another pick. I just realized.
I do. Yeah. It's
I was about to transition to a possible pick of mine, but you.
That's okay. Let's see. In that case,
given your strategy, I'm really curious to see where you go here.
I guess I'll go with Josh Hart.
I'll
go with Josh Hart because it's just like, it feels as though the pendulum has swung in the complete opposite direction for him this season. I mean, we're talking about someone who comes to the Knicks, instant impact, immediate, 100th percentile in corner threes, taking them, looks good. The defense is there, rebounding. And then this season, there's hesitation. There's just misses across the board. I still keep going back to, I know positionally it's kind of whatever you want to call it, but just like the matchup where you swap him and RJ out it's abysmal. The difference between the starting lineup and the starting lineup with Hart instead of RJ is just god awful. And yet it keeps getting play. And so my hope is that if that lineup can, simply not be the lineup that the Knicks keep playing, because it's one of the worst in the league of teams that have had 100 possessions or more. It'd be great if you didn't have that, because then you could actually utilize Hart in a successful manner that then doesn't hurt him or the team that's around him. And that would be great, because if you look at the backup unit and then RJ is there, it's going really well. That's a fantastic bench unit. Nice to see. But putting him next to Randall, putting him in a lineup with Mitch, it's not flowing. There's something about it that's just not working there. And so he's my buy low candidate, assuming the Knicks can find lineups that feature him that don't make everyone else and himself look bad.
So you noted it, like the main backup unit has been successful, right? The numbers are good with Hart and Quickly and RJ and Hartenstein and DiVincenzo. I think it's an interesting buy, if only because, and you, I probably have not seen this because I think literally the story came out like an hour ago. But Steve Popper, so we should say, actually backtrack. Hart said some comments to a media scrum. I think it was earlier today, and Popper's the first one with a story, although all the beat guys, I'm sure, are going to have these things in their stories that come out over the course of Monday night and Tuesday during the day. But like basically Hart was kind of said some comments which insinuate he's not I don't say not thrilled with his role, but like he's having a little bit of time adjusting to what the Knicks are asking him to do right now, which is basically be, a catch and shoot guy, as opposed to running around and doing, what he was doing last year. And I am very curious to see where this goes because, I think both of us were fine with the contract they handed in the summer. It was a lot of money for a player who has had shooting issues over the years. But like he had a certain role last year. That role is a little bit different now. And they can't, by the way, they can't trade him this year. Like he is literally untradeable per the CBA until the summer. I'm not saying they would like otherwise want to trade him, but just, interesting spot. So I think you bought the two guys. Well, two of the three guys who have the lowest stock on the team right now. Which puts me in an interesting spot. If this is how we're playing the game. I
think you should keep Brunson where he is at, by the way.
No, I'm happy with Brunson as my pick.
Yeah.
Because I believe everything I said. But now I'm thinking maybe I'm going to go over to your side. All right. I'm not going to do it.
One thing I'm going to say is we don't have to pick every player whose value is low. There are some stocks that simply don't rise.
Here's what I'm going to do. I think you may have just swayed me. I'm going to go with my original plan, and I'm going to pick the other guy that I feel best about moving forward this season, and that is Emmanuel Quickly. Again, a little bit of an odd strategy here, picking guys whose value is the highest right now, but I am buying into what I have seen. My daughter has some fun underneath me here. Buying into what I've already seen and trusting that only more good things are going to come. And perhaps with those good things, increased recognition and so on and so forth. I think IQ has gotten some recognition throughout the league so far this year. I mean, a couple of people who have weighed in on early awards races have kind of been like, yeah, Quickly, he's right there for 6 man of the year. So, but I think like Brunson, I think the best still may be yet to come. And I think now that we're 16 games in, can we say that Quickly has been there? He's been a top 3 player for them without question. I think Brunson's in there, and I think Mitch, you still have to put him in there, even though he had kind of a not his best weekend. So yeah, I'm going to go with Quick.
It's absolutely fair. Just considering, also from IQ's perspective, I mean, obviously it's tough having Brunson there in terms of starting games because the Knicks view Quickly as the person to make their bench as strong of a unit as it is. And if they took him away, then you would just have a lot of creators in that starting lineup, and the staggering wouldn't work quite as well. And you'd probably gas them by the end of the game. So but that's more of a personnel issue than it is a Quickly issue. It's
not a Quickly issue. It has nothing to do with Quickly. It has to do with him in that he's too good to take off the second unit and be the crux of like the second unit and the guy that like the position they have him now. He could close halves. And he backs up Brunson like that. If Quickly wasn't as good, he would probably be in the starting lineup. I know that it doesn't make any sense, but that's kind of how I see it.
Yes, there's almost like, how do you become too good to not have a promotion? But but that's again, it goes,
yeah.
But it goes again to. I thought he was last year, but apparently he started too many games.
Yeah,
because that's a rule now. I'm not bitter. Anyways, I would agree with that in the sense of his stock should continue to rise based on everything that we've seen him do. Okay. I mean, he is the lifeblood in so many ways of these fourth quarter comebacks, and the defense is right there. I mean, there's a reason why Tibbs relies on him at the end. It's just would be great also if there were an opportunity for him to play more minutes, but hopefully that's something that the Knicks can resolve moving forward. But then it's a question of, well, who are they moving to resolve that to put quickly? And that is a whole new can of worms that I really don't want to have to talk about right now. I think is my last pick, or are we doing 5 between the two of us?
Well, I think the plan was to each do 5, but we'll get through these last ones a little quicker. So let's go a little bit more rapid fire. Who's your third stock you want?
Third stock will be Julius, but that's more of a short. I'm trying to short the market, right? Like I don't see that as a major long-term play. I see it as, look, Julius, your efficiency's in the gutter. Your defense actually
fucking trading places.
Yeah, exactly. You know, why not?
They want to short the orange.
I'm gonna.
Excuse me, the orange juice market. Is that what it's called? Was it the orange juice market, or was there another name for the market?
They were trading in commodities, as I believe.
Yeah, no, it was definitely the orange crop, but I feel like
concentrated OJ, and then there was like
it was a specific. Anyway, we get if you're a youngin and you don't know what movie I'm referring to, fucking shame on you. Please continue.
Movie. Yeah. Especially the Coming to America, a little cameo that comes in there.
Oh, well, that's
later on, which is a gem.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
We're back. That's gonna be Julius. Hey, more.
Yes, Julius is the one who's outside of. He's destitute. He's just waiting for someone to give him.
Aren't they like under the Brooklyn Bridge or something?
Yes. Yeah. That's But agreed. So if there's a way for Julius to just up his stock a little bit more, I don't know what the future holds for Julius. I can tell you that the Knicks, how they operate mid-season is they really just add. They take pieces that are outside of their rotation and then try to factor it into that. Would they switch up something differently with Julius? Doubtful, but who knows? Julius is likely here for the year. It's a sort of thing where I feel like the switch gets switched on and he's just vintage Julius. But then what does vintage Julius even mean? Because sometimes vintage Julius could actually be the opposite of what you want. I agree in that the idea of him being the most maddening player, it's just peak Jekyll and Hyde, Julius and Hyde, and I'll buy it. I'll buy it in the short run.
I almost went with Julius with my last pick because I think, especially after the weekend that he just had, like, I don't know if his stock right this second is quite as low as it was after the first, whatever it was, 6-7 games. But it's not great. It's not great. I think it's a good pick. You know what? I'm gonna throw a little curveball in. Leon Rose. I'm buying Leon Rose stock because I think right now there is a little bit of consternation, my favorite word, about not with necessarily the team right now, but like, okay, you've kind of boxed yourself into this. We're going to trade for a superstar or bust corner. Like, this is what the team is. Like, what's going on? This summer so far is aging. I don't know how it's aging. He extended Hart. He signed DiVincenzo. It's like, okay, it's fine. They didn't do anything big. And I have a funny feeling there's going to be a move, and it may be the biggest move of his tenure, in terms of a trade. Before I know nothing, but like, just like looking at the landscape, he's done something every deadline, and I don't see any small moves on the horizon, at least ones that make sense for this team, which leaves like, okay, is there a bigger move? I don't know, but I'm buying Leon Rose stock. I feel like the best is yet to come for the Knicks front office. They got a lot of bullets in the chamber.
I would agree. And here's where my thought process has been, to the same point of, yes, they've upgraded the rotation every single year. And now we're at the point where the Knicks have probably the most consistent 9-man rotation that we've seen. Granted, they had a 9-man rotation before. If you swap out, Obi for DiVincenzo effectively, but then they added Josh Hart. So they've kept adding. And the thing is, the Knicks have no issue making situations more crowded and then just figuring it out from there. And I feel like they could very easily do that. That being said, there's a part of me that's like, well, you're probably not going to get a rotation piece if you are taking players, like a really good one. If you're taking players outside the rotation and draft equity that you have, put it together and getting someone who then fits in, like maybe it's a little bit more than that. Maybe it's like, wow, Leon Rose has actually traded a rotation player in season for the first time in his career. As an executive here at the Knicks, that could be the case. But I'm with you.
That's where I think we're headed.
I agree, and I'm with you wholeheartedly. I'll hold on to my thoughts. You'll hold on to yours. It'll be trade season before we know it, but until then, I am with you. I don't think that something has to give. Something has to be shaken up a little bit here, and the roster's a little imbalanced from a size perspective too. But we'll see where that goes.
Let's do one more stock each. Quick one. Who's your last pick?
Oh, let's do Mitchell Robinson's free throw percentage, I guess.
You have to take the whole. You can't have just
the free throw percentage. Everything else is great.
No, you have to take Mitch. Mitch has to be the stock that you're taking.
The free throw percentage has to be, I need it to be older than Jonathan Macri, because if it's not, it's a problem. It's not a very difficult.
42% is fine.
I think 42% would be just dandy, considering he's at 35% right now.
I don't even know. I haven't looked it up.
I mean, it just can't be lower than John. Okay. Preferably a lot higher than that, but just can't be lower.
That's fine. My last stock will be. I could really go. Given how this game is played out, I could go in literally any direction with this. I'll do DiVincenzo. I like the couple of glimpses we've seen of a guy who can really be an impact player, and this might stealthily be the biggest upside pick either of us could make, because with all due respect to your first pick, Quentin Grimes, if they don't make a move like a trade, and they do try to address let's say they keep struggling a little bit and they do try to address that in-house, the most obvious thing, and perhaps the only obvious thing, is DiVincenzo in for Grimes in the starting five, which is something I've talked about and I'm not necessarily sure I agree with on several levels, but I'll take DiVincenzo. Okay, so we have our stocks. Maybe we'll add another stock to our portfolio next time, in addition to maybe making a trade or something. Andrew writes in the chat, cue the "Why do you hate RJ Barrett" comments on the YouTube comments section tomorrow. I like RJ. I feel like what he's been so far, like the sample we have after 16 games, how we're feeling about RJ right now is probably how we're going to feel about him after 30 games, after 45 games, after 60 games, after 82 games, after that's kind of why I didn't take him. So,
well, the reason I didn't take him is because I saw it as depressed value and rising up. For me, RJ it's not quite that. It's more start off really hot, seeing some signs of potentially slowing down. I talked a few weeks ago about his numbers on cleaning the glass and highlighted how a lot of numbers outside of the 3-point shooting are a little bit better than his career, or where he left off last year. Well, now we've gotten to a point where they're actually going even lower than they were outside of the 3-point shooting. The 3-point shooting is really what's hoisting him up. That being said, the effective field goal percentage as a whole still 52.1, which would be the best year by far. So it's more about I need RJ to maintain what he was doing, because at the pace he's going, we're a month away from when we play this game again, it being, well, actually, I need to buy the RJ stock because it has now gone back to a price point where I'm comfortable with it, and believing it can go back up again. But that is why I didn't pick RJ.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Okay, let's do game ball and detention predictions, and then we're going to get out of here. Game ball given to a player, coach, or entity that stood out this week and deserves special recognition. Jalen Brunson. I mean, what else can you say? I don't know. What else can you say? Emmanuel Quickly spearheaded the comeback on Friday night and almost did it again on Sunday. My daughter obviously wants to vote for Emmanuel Quickly. Isaiah Hartenstein closed on Friday night during the comeback win. Thought there was an argument that he could have closed against Phoenix as well. RJ Barrett, fantastic defense on Jimmy Butler in the fourth quarter on Friday night's comeback. And then, of course, Tommy DeVito, 2 straight wins as the Giants starting quarterback. How you doing? You get to give the game ball.
Maron, that's 2 straight Sunday sauces. 2.
Pass the gravy.
Jalen Brunson. What as written? I mean, what else can you say? Just in awe of the things he's able to do.
Brunson's the correct answer. I looked it up just for shits and giggles after his game against Phoenix. I forget what the exact numbers were. I think 35 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds. I think he had 3 steals, a block, whatever. What all those numbers I put into our friends at StatHead player game finder, and only one other Knick in history had ever had a game in which they had those particular numbers, and it was Walt Frazier in 1977. So pretty good company. Great pick. I'll take quickly. To me, I gotta say, for as important as Brunson was this weekend, as great as Brunson was this weekend, I might argue that quickly was a hair more important, if only because they were so dead in the water in that Miami game. And then quickly comes in, and like he does all the time, it's like I wrote it today in the newsletter. We're getting to the point again with quickly where we're looking around like kind of like we were 2 years ago, really, and we're like, okay, when's quickly coming in? When's quickly coming in? When's quickly coming in? You know, and like I hope it doesn't keep going that way because it means the starting lineup is going to continue to have its struggles. But it's been very good. Okay. Detention given to a player, coach, or entity that deserves to sit down for a while and think about what they did wrong. Julius Randle, bruh. That's what Andrew has written here, bruh. With an H at the end, in case I didn't make that clear. Josh Hart, shoot the ball! All caps. Quentin Grimes, how soon before we start getting concerned? Mitchell Robinson, to quote Benji, look, he's been great. 35% from the line is a problem. And Stephen A. Smith, oh my God, left the Garden early on Friday before the Knicks comeback even started. I get to give this one out first. Going with Josh Hart. I'm going with Josh Hart because dude got paid an awfully lot of money this summer. And he continues to play a lot of minutes for this team. He continues to be given important minutes for this team. He's on the floor during a lot of key situations. And this is one of those situations where, are you in an ideal situation for you? No. But how many role players around the league are in what they would define as, for them personally, an ideal situation? And I think you're going to find that the number is like somewhere below 50%. So I understand Josh Hart got to come in next year and basically be the exact version of Josh Hart that he wants to be. And by the way, part of that was like he did take threes and he did hit threes at an obscene clip. So for him now to like, again, I'm not saying he complained. Again, my daughter's very passionate about Josh Hart. I'm not saying he's complaining, but like for him to again raise some consternation about his role, is a little bit annoying, especially when there's more he could be doing to make himself, more of a positive impact player like he was last year. Not saying it's easy, not saying it's ideal. If the team was constructed in a little bit of a different way, he'd be able to do more of what he's used to doing and better at doing. Maybe we'll get to that at some point. For right now, though, he needs to adjust a little bit more. So Josh Hart goes in my detention.
It's a good pick. I'm gonna go Julius. I have to go Julius Randle. You cannot have that high. Thank you. You cannot have that high of a usage rate and be that low in terms of your efficiency. You cannot you can't have this free reign and also not defend in the way that you're used to. Like at times when you're switched on to other players, you can be great, but you have to find a way to bring it all together. And the passing's great, the rebound's great, but the efficiency is sinking this team in so many ways. And I mean, you saw Nurkic just did not respect Julius Randle's shot at that very moment. And I'm not saying like, oh, because Nurkic did it, that's a clear indication that no one does, but it shows that there's something is amiss here. He does not have the touch that he had last year or 2 years prior to that. So if he is the leader, if he's going to soak up the most usage, if he's also going to be really one of the only players who's like 6'8" and playing at the 4, he's the guy. There's not a lot of other help that's going to come by unless it's outside help. So he gets my detention for the week.
I meant to say it before. I'll say it really quickly now. The Knicks are a team built around, I would say, 5 players more than any other. The big 4 scorers, and then Mitchell Robinson because of what he does at both ends. Two of those players, or one of those players, has been really bad this season, Julius Randle. And RJ has been good the Knicks have played 16 games. RJ has been good, has been healthy and good for half of those games. And then I would say no complaints about the other three, despite the fact that Mitch was a little off this weekend. Given that that's the case, and given their schedule, 9-7 is okay. I meant to make that point at the top, but since you just got done talking about Randall and like how bad he's been, I think it's a fair point to make. Okay. Predictions. I hate that I have to give the baton back. Alas, Jeremy goes first because he was got 2-1 or 1-2 correct last week. This week, 3 games. Tuesday versus the Charlotte Hornets at home. Thursday versus the Detroit Pistons at home. Friday at the Toronto Raptors. That is the second night of a back-to-back. I am, as you are making your prediction, I am going to look up the latest NBA official injury report because I just want to note LaMelo Ball went down with what was a seemingly a not great injury in the last game. I don't think the injury report is out yet, but I'm looking it up right now. So I'll turn it over to you.
I'm going to go with 2-1 here. The main reasons, number one,
Ball is doubtful. Sorry, just want to throw that in there.
Number one being, look, the Knicks could lose to Charlotte. They could lose to Toronto. But I'm going to look at this Raptors game because it's the second night of a back-to-back where the Knicks have not been great at this past season. And also Toronto has been a house of horrors for the Knicks since the 2015-16 season. Outside of last season's victory, the Knicks hadn't won in Toronto since 2015. So even with a worse Toronto team, there's something going on north of the border that the Knicks just can't really connect on. And I certainly hope that, assuming, John, you take the pick that I would be handing to you, that you are successful. But if you're not taking that, then I hope they win all these games.
Would it be something if I took 1 and 2? Listen, if this freaking team loses to the Raptors and a LaMelo Ball-less Hornets team, or the Pistons, full stop. You don't need to say anything else about the Pistons. Just the Pistons, who have lost 13 games in a row, something or whereabouts.
We'll see tonight. It's the Super Bowl. It's the Pistons versus the Wizards.
Is that?
That's tonight. That's losers phenomenal. Of 13 straight for the Pistons and losers of 9 straight for the Wizards.
There it is. I'll go 3-0. Listen, I think it's gonna be 2-1. The ass off. Nice job, Andrew. Nice job. Well done. And I'll keep my fingers crossed. Again, I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to, if I had to guess, I think they're going to win the next 2 and then lose to Toronto, and then we'll see where they're at in terms of this midseason tournament thing. And on that note, I think Jeremy is going to take us home with some announcements.
Sure. We don't have any pregame pods for the Knicks or the Knicks Hornets games, as we've seen them 3 times. So go listen to the one that we've done before. And the other portion is that we have added additional merch to our store since then. We have other stuff that's coming along the way too. But for right now, we've got some more items up there. We did a joke one for the Heat game. I think we're going to make that probably a limited time supply just because we don't need to have it in our store the whole time. It was a fun little gag. We'll leave it up probably through the end of Tuesday if you're listening to this. But yeah, we've got some fun stuff and we'll have more there. So if you have holiday shopping for Knicks fans that you love, go forth. We recommend it.
Yes, go forth. Thank you, Jeremy, for picking up the announcements. Andrew, Claudia, do we forget anything?
No, shout out to you both. Good show today. I look forward to seeing how your stocks age. Shout out to everybody listening, and shout out to Sass and to Izzy for co-hosting this episode. We greatly appreciate all the Macries and have as many voices as we possibly can get them. So I'm joking around. We love your children. It's okay.
I'm sure everybody loves my kids. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Don't forget, if you dig the show, 5-star rating, leave a review, all that great stuff. And we will talk to you again soon. Peace out.